What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kieran O'Brien and I am now 23 years old. I'm an entrepreneur and a startup founder. And as you can tell by the title of today's video, I've got a pretty exciting announcement. So I've been off YouTube for almost a year. And the reason that I left YouTube and basically kind of went dark on most social media platforms is because I've been building my tech startup, MediaKits.com, for the past year. And recently we were acquired by one of the largest influencer marketing companies in the world. So in this video, I'm gonna be talking to you guys about the story behind MediaKits.com, how we got started, and ultimately how we sold, myself and my business partner, Casey, how we sold our first tech startup in under a year. So to begin, we actually have to go back to 2017, which is ultimately the origin story of MediaKits. The funniest thing about this is that I actually filmed an entire video 6-7 months ago explaining what MediaKits was and how we started it, and basically made this entire video that you're about to watch. And I actually never posted it here on my YouTube because I just felt like I wanted to focus on the business, building the company, and I didn't really want to focus on my personal brand or posting videos on YouTube because it felt like a distraction to me. And so I ultimately never posted that video, and so now I feel like because the business was acquired recently, I now owe you guys an explanation as to the entire backstory of how we started the company in the first place and then ultimately led to an acquisition. So in 2017, as you guys know, if you've been watching my YouTube channel for a while, I was running a marketing company where I was helping large national and international e-commerce brands run advertisements on Facebook and Google. And as a result of that, a lot of the clients that I was working with back in 2017 also became interested in influencer marketing. And so kind of by accident, I started working with some of the biggest automotive influencers in the world and running influencer marketing campaigns at scale for these companies. One day in 2017, I was a senior in high school at the time. I get a phone call from Jeffrey, Jared Garage, who a lot of you guys know on this channel. And he said to me, "Hey Kieran, I have a brand deal with Pennzoil, and they're asking me for all of my data and analytics in the form of a media kit. The problem is I don't have one. Could you make one for me?" And so I said, of course. And I went and I made him a media kit. And I'll actually show you what that one looked like right here. I made it for him on Photoshop. A couple weeks later, he reached out to me again and he said, "Hey Kieran, another brand is trying to work with me, but the problem is the media kit you made, all the numbers are outdated. They're all old numbers. I need you to go in and update them." And so what he was doing is he was screenshotting all of his analytics on his different apps like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Instagram. And I was having to go in and manually adjust these numbers in the media kit in the PDF document. And so at that moment, I kind of had this light bulb go off in my head. And I said to myself, why is there not an easier way for content creators like Jeffrey to build a media kit with data that's updated in real time, almost like a living document with all of their analytics? And that's ultimately when the idea for MediaKits.com was born. Now, of course, back in 2017, I had no money. I had no resources. I didn't know anybody. I knew nothing about technology, nothing about startups. And so I actually tried to start MediaKits back then. I got quotes from developers. I even had scope of works made for what this might look like if I wanted to start it myself. And for a while there, I actually thought that I was gonna end up starting this business back in 2017. And I'm really glad that I didn't. So my co-founder, Casey Adams, and I, when we decided to kind of shelve the idea and not start MediaKits back in 2017, as you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I went all in on my marketing agency, grew it to a 7-figure company, and Casey, my business partner, went off and actually started his podcast, which is kind of what he's known for now, and ultimately became one of the biggest podcasts in the world. And so I'm really glad that we actually didn't go down the path of starting that business back in 2017 because it probably would have failed. So fast forward to mid-2020. Casey and I are now roommates. This is like 3 years after the original idea of MediaKits was born. Casey and I are now roommates in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's in the middle of the pandemic. We're quarantined at home. We have nothing else to do. And at this point, because of Casey's podcast and because of my success with my marketing agency, we had a little bit of money, we had some connections, we had angel investors who were willing to invest in things that we were doing. And the biggest catalyst of it all was TikTok was really blowing up. TikTok kind of caught traction at the end of 2019, and then when everybody was quarantined at home with nothing better to do, they were scrolling through TikTok and the app absolutely blew up in early 2020. And so there was this massive resurgence in the creator economy and influencers basically being minted overnight. Addison Rae, Charli D'Amelio, you name it, these people becoming A-list celebrities seemingly overnight on this app. And so Casey and I saw this trend, and one day we were just kind of sitting at home and we said, you know what, that MediaKits idea that we had like 3 years ago, I think that would be really applicable to TikTok specifically, Why don't we build it mainly for TikTok creators and see how that does? And so that's exactly what we did. This time, Casey and I were actually serious about building this business. And so we went and we hired a developer, we hired a designer, both overseas contractors, and we started it. And it was kind of a side hustle for both of us. We just worked on it in our free time and on the weekends and started kind of piecemealing it together to build an MVP. And so 6, 7, 8 months later, we had designs, we had a logo made, and we had a little bit of progress. The problem was we were completely bootstrapping this business up until this point. So I had spent nearly $100,000 of my own money on this business, and we had basically nothing to show for it except for some pretty designs. We had a very, very basic, like clickable prototype, and we had some really cool designs, but we had no product. We had nothing that people could buy. We had nothing that people could use. And at the end of the day, it was just getting really expensive. And so Casey came to me and said, you know what, why don't we go out and raise some venture capital? Why don't we raise money from angel investors to fund this thing? And to be honest, having bootstrapped my 2 businesses before that, both of my marketing agencies, and both of them basically being profitable from day one, the idea of taking money from other people kind of terrified me. It was a big responsibility, and it was something that I had never done before as a 20-year-old at the time. And so we went out and we started doing it. We put a pitch deck together and we started pitching investors. Originally, we were just kind of pitching friends and family, and we started reaching out to some of our friends who were successful entrepreneurs, maybe even had their own startups that had a little bit of money that could invest in our business. And on March 22nd, 2021, we actually took in our first angel investment. It was a $25,000 check. And I remember the day that it hit our bank account, it was like the craziest feeling ever. I felt like the idea for MediaKits was being validated. I felt like people saw the same vision that we did, and somebody trusted Casey and I enough and trusted the vision that we had for MediaKits enough to put tens of thousands of dollars of their own money into our possession to go out and build this thing. So we got a couple checks early from people who knew Casey and I and who trusted us, and that was pretty easy. The problem was the rest of the fundraising process was nowhere near as easy. In total, we spent nearly 6 months fundraising for this business, and it was absolutely grueling. I do plan on making a completely separate YouTube video about this process and what I learned fundraising for my first startup when I was 20, 21 years old, because as a young founder and as a first-time founder, I learned so many invaluable lessons about the fundraising process and so many things that went right and so many things that went wrong, and I'd love to talk about it, but that's definitely a story for another day. Long story short, we pitched over 400 angel investors and venture capitalists, and we actually ended up getting turned down by over 350 of them. And so you can imagine, as a first-time founder and as somebody who's raising money for the first time, how that might make you feel hearing the word no 300 plus times. It was absolutely devastating on some days, and it made us want to quit and not continue building this company. So once we actually closed the fundraising round, it was time to launch. So we had some money in the bank and we had a product at this point that was actually working. And so we decided to schedule a launch party in Los Angeles. Of course, because this is an influencer business, we decided to launch the business in LA, which is kind of the main area for influencer culture and the biggest city in that kind of industry. And so we decided to do it in LA. We had a big party. I'll throw some B-roll up here.
All right, it is the Elevator Night MediaKits launch party, and we're just getting started. It's 5:45, we're about to kick it off. People are rolling up.
And it was great. We had Wiz Khalifa come and perform live. He was actually on our cap table at MediaKits, which was amazing, and he was super supportive throughout the entire process and actually is a user of the product himself. The very next day after our launch party, we launched the product on Product Hunt, and we actually received #2 product of the day, which was super cool. It's really hard to get people to pay attention to your product on Product Hunt, so the fact that over 700 people upvoted us on Product Hunt was absolutely amazing. I'm still a little bit bummed that we didn't get #1, but we'll definitely do that at some point in the future with another project. So it's now mid-October 2021, and at this point we've been live for a couple months and we really weren't seeing a ton of progress. Unfortunately, the product that we launched, it was just a very basic website, and an influencer could come there, they could connect their social accounts via the APIs to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Those were the only three integrations that we had when we launched. And so we only had like 1,500 or 2,000 users, and the majority of them signed up on August 11th and 12th when we launched the business. And since then, we were only getting like maybe 5 to 10 signups every day, which was great. It just wasn't nearly enough for us to hit our growth goals. And of course, we had to spend the venture capital money that we raised. We had to deploy that and spend it on marketing to try to figure out product market fit and get the product to grow. And so we were just having no luck through October and September, and we were trying everything that we could think of. It just wasn't working. And the big problem when you raise venture capital for a startup is that the money is being spent whether you like it or not. Whether the product works or not, the money is being spent because you have developers, you have people on payroll, you have overhead, you have hosting, server costs, etc. And so there's money leaving your bank account, whether or not there's money coming in, right? It is completely indifferent. The money's going out regardless. And so basically you have a race against the clock as a startup founder, especially an early stage tech company. You're racing against the clock to make sure that you find out how to make something work before you run out of cash. Then on October 18th, we had what is ultimately, looking back, the biggest pivot and the biggest kind of breaking point for the business. We launched our integration with TikTok on the 16th or the 17th, and on the 18th, we had one of the biggest breakthroughs in the business. We posted a video on TikTok of a MediaKit and how a big influencer who was involved in our business was using it to make money. This video went absolutely crazy on TikTok, completely organically, got over 1 million views in 24 hours. And our website traffic on Google Analytics, I remember I was checking it the next day, we had over 300 active sessions for basically the entire day, that day, the next day, and the following day. We had thousands of signups. Every single time I would refresh, there was dozens or hundreds of new signups since the last time that I looked. And that video ultimately was responsible for almost 7,000 signups on our platform. And so basically October, November, we ended up putting paid spend behind that video and really growing it as much as we possibly could and kind of milking all the virality out of that video that we could. And so by the end of 2021 in December, we had hit kind of the coveted 10,000 user mark. That was our goal by the end of the year. We quite frankly didn't think we were gonna hit it, but because this video went viral, we ended up actually, I think, hitting 11,000 users by the end of 2021. I think the coolest thing about the end of 2021 for MediaKits was the fact that we finally felt like we had achieved product market fit. This is one of the hardest things for an early stage startup to figure out is, does your product actually help the people that it's designed to help? You don't really know the answer to that question until you launch the product. And so for us, in the first few months, we were really questioning if that was the case. We were questioning if MediaKits was helpful enough for these influencers, and we didn't know the answer. But when this TikTok video went viral and we had 10,000 plus users on the platform, we were getting emails every single day, myself and Casey, people proactively writing in to our inboxes telling us how much they love the product and how useful it was for them. And for a startup founder, that is the best feeling in the world. Now, as a marketer, one of the biggest things that people talk about is don't rely on one channel, and definitely don't rely on TikTok organic, because the algorithm could change tomorrow and you could be completely dead in the water. And that is absolutely true. The reason that I talk about this viral video that we had and the reason that it worked so well for us is because it actually didn't matter that the video continued to go viral. The way that our product was built is the MediaKit that influencers were creating on our platform was built to kind of have natural virality because there was a product-led element to the way that we built it. When you create a MediaKit on our platform, of course you're going to share it publicly and send it out to brands. And so that's what ended up happening. And so that viral TikTok video, even though it eventually stopped getting views, I think it capped out at like 2.1 million, we didn't need that to continue to go viral for us to hit our objectives, because we were now, it's like a snowball effect. We had the snowball rolling down the hill at this point. And so the users that we had, those first 10,000 users, ended up acquiring us our next 10,000 users very, very quickly because of this natural product-led growth and virality. So influencers were taking their MediaKit link and they were putting it in their link tree, they were putting it in their Instagram bio, they were sending it out in their email footer and embedding it on their website. And so ultimately, our website traffic, even though it spiked after that TikTok video, it came crashing down, of course, like all viral type videos and viral kind of trends do. but it stabilized at a point that was really sustainable for us and that we were really happy with. The craziest part is that in 2021, we didn't even spend that much money on marketing. We spent a total of like $40,000 on paid marketing in 2021. And in 2022, we spent a grand total of $0 on paid marketing. Because at this point, we had hundreds of influencers signing up for our platform every single day without fail, completely organically. By Q1 of 2022, the business was in a really interesting situation, and Casey and I had to make a tough decision. Do we raise another round of capital? And of course, with another round of capital comes more dilution and continue to build this? Or do we explore the M&A offers that we were getting in our inbox? And because the product was going so viral and it was being talked about all over social media, and there was tens of thousands of influencers using it and raving about the product, we actually had inbound M&A interest, I think as early as like 6 months in, from a few different companies. And so the company that ultimately ended up buying us is a company called Viral Nation. And they originally reached out, I think, a month or two into this year in 2022. So February or March is when they reached out to us. The CEO sent us a message on LinkedIn and we started talking. And so ultimately we actually flew out to their headquarters in Toronto just a few months ago, and we met their entire C-suite in person. Now at this point, we still weren't quite sure if we were ready or willing to sell the business. There was a lot of really interesting things happening in the space. The economy, of course, was also very uncertain during that time, and it still is as of the time that I'm filming this video. You know, VC activity had slowed down tremendously. M&A activity had slowed down tremendously. Luckily, we had a lot of people who were willing to invest in MediaKits and take us and allow us to raise another round of funding. And we also had this M&A offer from Viral Nation. So we were very lucky to be in a position where we had a choice. And ultimately, when Casey and I went to Toronto to meet with the founders of Viral Nation and the rest of their C-suite, we knew that it was the right home for MediaKits. And the reason for this is because in the creator economy, especially in technology and SaaS, there are dozens of new startups popping up basically every single month, it seems like. And of course, with MediaKits, for us, there was a lot of people who were kind of copycatting our product. Some of them just completely ripping our product unapologetically. And so, you know, we knew that we were kind of the first ones to pioneer the real-time data MediaKits, and that will forever be the case. And I'm very proud that we started a wave or a movement, so to speak. And so we knew that there was a lot of other companies, a lot of them very well funded, that were kind of coming for our users and trying to steal our users off of our platform. And so ultimately, the acquisition by Viral Nation was interesting to us because these guys are a massive company and they were building some really cool technology that MediaKits kind of perfectly fit into. And so for us, when we were considering the acquisition, we were thinking about the future of the creator economy. Where is this industry going? Where is it going to be in 10 years? And who is going to be one of the biggest players in the space? And we truly believed that Viral Nation was going to be one of the biggest players in the space in 10 years. And that's ultimately why we decided to do the deal with them. On July 22nd, 2022, Casey and I signed the official LOI, letter of intent, to be acquired by Viral Nation. This came exactly 11 months and 11 days after we launched MediaKits on August 11th, 2021. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys came to watch this video for this reason, but unfortunately, I cannot talk about the financial details of the acquisition for legal reasons. What I can say though is that I'm very, very excited for what the future holds for MediaKits inside of Viral Nation. I'm very excited for everything that we've built up until this point, everything that we're building behind the scenes right now, and everything that Viral Nation is building to help MediaKits succeed. I want to make a big shout out to my business partner, my co-founder, my brother, Casey Adams, for coming along this wild ride with me. It's absolutely crazy the last 12 plus months of building this, launching it, and then being acquired. It's been an absolute roller coaster of emotion, and I'm really, really proud of what we built. I want to say thank you to our entire team, Jacqueline, Trevor, Alex, Cameron, Matt, Gary, everybody who was involved in building the product, Soggy and more, of course, as well. Thank you guys all so much for everything that you contributed to the building of MediaKits. And then of course, I want to say thank you to all of our amazing investors. We had some absolutely incredible angel investors that believed in Casey and I from day one. Wouldn't have been possible without you guys. I wanted to format this video in kind of a storytelling angle. I wanted to tell the story about how we started MediaKits and how we sold it, and I didn't want to make it super tactical. With that being said though, now that we've sold the business and I can focus a little bit more on my personal brand, I'm going to be very, very active here on YouTube. And I know I've actually gotten a lot of messages from you guys, so thank you so much for the support, asking where I've been, why I haven't been posting YouTube videos. And so I'm really excited to be back here on YouTube making content about business, startups, and entrepreneurship. And the amount of learning and the crazy things that I've experienced over the last 12 months building a venture-backed tech startup has been absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to share it with you guys here on YouTube. So with that being said, I want to make more tactical videos, so drop a comment down below and let me know what types of topics you want me to talk about. I'm happy to talk about fundraising, hiring, building SaaS companies, etc. All these things that I've learned over the last year and a half of doing this, I would love to talk about them here on YouTube. So yeah, I've got tons of exciting content coming up for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. To anybody who's watching this, and if you've been subscribed to my YouTube channel for a long time, thank you so much for the support over the years. I'm excited to continue to make content here on YouTube about all sorts of different topics. I am gonna keep making videos on digital marketing and advertising and all the stuff that I used to make videos on, and I'm gonna start making more content, like I said, about startups and things like that as well. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.